talked to a lot of chefs about this, and there's a big controversy between there's chefs that say if you know what you're doing and what everything costs and you can explain it to your client, then you can charge whatever you want. And there's other chefs that say you don't have to explain your cost to your client. So how would you guys approach that? I think it's a very interesting, like, yeah, we call it a controversy for sure. Do you explain your cost or do you not? And what happens? How do you communicate that to your client? Because that's the awkward part, right?
Totally. I think so. There was a point in this over the last 4 years that I have had my own business where I've had to learn that answer for what's best for me. Um, in the beginning, I would explain how the services were going to go and what I was going to charge them, like on a consultation call, and then send out the proposal, the invoice, whatever. And people would just get crazy, like, why is this and what is this? And so I started again working with people who knew more than me, and they were like, you can't just surprise people, you can't do sticker shock, you can't like that's why you're getting all this pushback. And so now I'm just really upfront with people on the phone. I have a $2,000 minimum for this level. I charge $250 per person plus the chef fee plus. Like I don't want to be on the phone with anybody longer than 10 minutes because time is money. I don't want I know who my avatars are. I know who I am cooking for, what ideally my client is. And so knowing that changes how you talk to people 100%. And my preferred clientele are male, and men want numbers. They don't want a story. Women want a story. Oh, you cook with grandmother. Oh, they do. They want you to sell them a story about who you are and what you're going to give them. Men are like, I got 5 minutes, chef. Cool, whatever menu, here's this, tell me the number, and great, I'll have my assistant sign the contract. Like that, you have to learn who you're talking to and really curate who you want to be talking to and cooking for, right? So that's first. And then secondly, at this point, what I'm actually like literally in the middle of working on is an FAQ, because I have learned from other people who have a salesperson in their business and all they do is sell their services or sell the product or whatever, that they're super upfront. Hey, this is what it's going to be. Yes, this is how the deposit works. Yes, this is when the final payment's due, blah, 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 like just cut and dry. But here, I'm going to send you this FAQ that's going to go over all the minutia, because then you're not getting the pushback of like, well, why do you have 3 servers, and and what is your policy here? And because I have cancellation policies. So it's you're communicating your costs, but you also have to communicate your policies. And I had to learn that because the amount of times I showed up to places where they're still skiing and there's ski socks on the kitchen counter that I'm supposed to cook on, or the entire kitchen is blown up because they didn't bother to clean it up. Now we're spending an hour cleaning their house. There's so many little nuanced things that have to be communicated, and you don't want to flood the client. Because if you're on the phone telling people like, oh, and you're going to pay this, and oh, you're going to pay that, and if you do this, and if you do, like, you're not going to get a client. You can't. So you do need to be upfront about what your costs are. And then I find that an FAQ, a proposal, a contract that lays it all out, that they can read, decide if they want to make that deposit, give them an amount of time to pay that deposit. That saves you from so much awkwardness. But also, like, as Chefry was saying, you need to be confident. Like, and for me, I tell people, it's okay if you can't afford this service. It's not for everybody. And I know other chefs that I can direct you to, or other catering services or other restaurants that can help with what you're looking for. But for me, like, this is as low as I can go. And I used to be like, it's okay, I'll make it work. I'll make it work. I'll make it work. And then you wake up and you've done 7 services, you haven't slept, you can't live your life, and you haven't made any money. So I just go back to like, I need time for myself. I have to have in between. And so communicating like, this is the way it's going to be, and doing it through like hospitality, not through service, hospitality. You can, unless they can't afford you, you can pretty much close anybody. They just need to understand it.
This is so interesting, you guys. How, because we also always talk about knowing your product when you're selling something to know what your price has to be, but knowing your market is, I think, as important as knowing your product. Because just right now we have four different markets, even if in the same city, in the same area, there are different markets, there are different targets, and your whole pricing structure for it to work